Welcome back to TechniqueWOD. Today we're talking about full contact twists, one of my favorite movements for developing rotational strength, speed, and power. Okay, if you don't know what a full contact twist is, it looks like this. You're gonna have a bar in a landmine. If you want to put it in the corner of a room, you can. You don't have to have a landmine attachment. You're gonna be here, bar's out in front of you. Just like that. A few points of performance. Start with a light bar. This is a 35-pound bar, but of course you can use a regular 45-pound bar, and you can add weight to it and all that. But start off nice and light. You're gonna grab the end of the barbell right here and right here. And I like to start facing one direction. Both of my feet are gonna be facing straight ahead, arms straight. I'm gonna pivot on my back foot and then my front foot. So if you watch my feet, I bring it up, my back foot pivots and my front foot pivots. Eventually they'll kind of pivot at the same time, but that's a good way to think about it at first. I'm always pivoting my feet. My shoulders and my hips are always facing the same way. So I'm not keeping my feet one direction and trying to rotate without moving my feet. You get all out of sorts. So straight arms, pivot at your feet. That looks very similar, if you can see my feet here, looks very similar to hitting a baseball, okay? My shoulders, my hips are facing one direction. I'm putting all my power out to my left in this case if I'm a right-handed batter, right? Same thing with boxing. If you can see my feet, you know, if I'm boxing here, as I'm throwing across, you know, I'm moving my body and twisting here. That's all my power generation. I'm just kind of slinging my shoulder and my arm like a big catapult by moving my body and generating power through my hips, through my feet. If I'm just throwing punches without moving my hips and it's all arm, you don't get a lot of power like that. So full contact twists are a great way to generate power, especially in rotation. If you're doing them light like this, if you're doing them light and fast, you can generate speed and power like that. If you want to add weight, of course you can just put on some weight. Or I actually like better to have one of these V-handle attachments to make the lever arm on the bar, let's step back over here, to make the lever arm on the bar a lot longer. This makes it much, much heavier, feels much, much heavier. In this case, the handle is gonna go behind me. It's gonna go all the way to my shin. Usually about where that little hash mark is on the bar is gonna touch your shin. You're gonna stay very tall. And then same deal. Okay, common mistakes. People tend to kind of lean forward, or they tend not to pivot their feet. You wanna have a vertical torso. You want to have a vertical torso, and like I said, you're just spinning like this, okay? You're spinning like straight up and down. You're not leaning back and forth on each side like this. I'm just staying nice and tall, ribs down, getting the movement at the hip joints, okay? Where I'm kind of internally rotated and adducted on that front hip, and then I kind of switch through it, okay? If you want to add weight to it, you certainly can. If you have the V handle, that lever arm is gonna make it where if you add 5 pounds, it's gonna be a significant change. If you don't have the V handle on, then of course you can add a little bit more. Typically I add like 10-pound plates or maybe 25-pound iron plates. The smaller diameter plates just seem to be easier. You're less likely to run into them and whatnot. As far as what muscle groups you're working with this exercise and kind of where you should feel it, people are always asking, you know, where should I be feeling it? Am I doing it right when they're first new to something? It's a total body movement for sure. You're generating force through the ground all the way out into your hands, so that force is going through your whole entire body. But your limiters and your I wouldn't call them weak points, but the link in the chain that is going to be stressed to some extent where you're probably going to be sore. You're not going to be sore in your legs. You're not probably going to be too sore in your arms, really. It's probably going to be like the sides of your torsos, the oblique area, like your internal and external obliques. maybe a little bit with your abs, probably not a whole lot, but like mostly on the sides is really where you're likely to feel that soreness. If you've never done these before, and especially if you do them with the V handle where those repetitions are heavy, you are very, very, very likely to be sore on your sides in a way that you never have before if you haven't done a lot of kind of total body, like high activation core training like you'd get with like strongman training or something like that. Okay. Programming wise, depending on how you're doing them, will depend on, would determine your sets and reps. If you're doing very light kind of speed based reps where you're doing like, 3 repetitions very fast, kind of like dynamic effort method style where you're doing like 10, 12 sets of triples and it's not super heavy, you're going very, very fast where speed is a factor, which if you're throwing lots of punches or if you're throwing something light like a baseball, then it makes a lot of sense to do fast reps and get used to that very quick pivot at the hip and at the feet. If you're doing it heavier, then doing sets of 5 or 8. Typically, if I'm doing it heavy, I don't do these for sets of 10 or 12. That's more of a personal preference. You can do as many reps as you want, of course. But I like to do these reps heavy. As far as core training goes, this is a method of core training that I think lends itself very well to doing heavy repetitions. So put that V handle on, load up some weight, do heavy sets of 5 per side. You can do 5 sets of 5, which typically you wouldn't do like on core exercises, but I just think works really, really well with this movement, especially if you have that V handle, and it makes you very, very, very strong, brutally strong. If you're, like I said, a boxer or a baseball player, the fast reps work very well. But if you're someone like a wrestler or an MMA fighter, you're doing Greco-Roman wrestling where like you're clinched on a human and you have to twist and throw that person, and you're picking up someone who's equal in body weight to you. If you're a 200-pound person, you're picking up a 200-pound person. Then it makes sense to be very strong through your core. And speed is a factor when you're throwing somebody, but you also have to be very, very strong in order to generate speed with someone who weighs the same weight that you do. So do both, do speed, do strength, use the V handle if you have it. If you don't have an attachment, you can just put it in the corner of a room. It's an awesome movement. If you want to see more movements like this, let me know which ones that you want to see, and we can do videos on those in the future. My name's Doug Larson. You can follow me on Instagram at Douglas E. Larson. Go to shruggedcollective.com and check out everything that we have there. We have something called the Program Vault, which is a membership site where we house all of our online training programs. It's an awesome website. There's at least 11 training programs on there. I highly recommend you check that out. Go to shruggedcollective.com/vault to see all those online training programs. Hope you enjoyed the show. See you another day.
Welcome to the Shrugged Collective Program Vault. Over the last 6 years, we've been leading the charge in online strength and conditioning programming and coaching. And for the first time in the history of the Shrugged Collective, we're combining our 11 best-selling long-term and short-term accessory programs into one membership site called the Program Vault. From Olympic weightlifting to strongman, leaning out, nutrition, you name it, our 11 best-selling programs are yours for $47 a month. Get to shruggedcollective.com/vault and you will find immediate access to our 11 best-selling strength and conditioning programs.